Hello everyone, it's that time of the month. It's time to go over my top 10 favorite first time watches from the month of February. Didn't get to too many movies, but hey, it is what it is. Starting off with number 10, Bones and All. Now I've heard so much praise for Bones and All, and it was on Peacock, so I'm like, you know what, why not? Let's give it a watch. Taylor Russell from the Escape Room movies. I love her. She's great. She's great in this. And then you also have Timothée Chalamet with his red hair, and he's great in it. Of course he is. It's Timothée Chalamet, for crying out loud. Bones and All is a cannibal love story, and these two people are just trying to find their place in the world, you know? And you know what? Outside of, like, the actual cannibalism itself, like, you know, people eating other people, it's a rather kind of calm and chill movie, and a bit emotional as well. I think that's what makes this movie so special, is that you wouldn't really expect so many, like, emotional beats out of a movie featuring cannibals, but Luca Guadagnino, he freaking did it, man. I really enjoyed seeing Marin and Lee go on their adventure like halfway through the movie, like after Marin gets away from Sully, who loves referring to himself in the third person. Sully, by the way, at first you're like, don't trust him. Then for a brief moment, when he's like, I'm also a cannibal, I'm like, okay, I kind of trust you. But then the more he's on screen, I'm like, okay, nope, I don't trust you. Sully is definitely a real interesting character. But going back to Marin and Lee, the last half of the movie where they're really connecting and forming a relationship, it's wonderful to watch. The ending is so sad, I'm not going to spoil it. It hit me pretty hard, not going to lie. At number 9, Easy A. Another movie I hear people talk about all the time. It came out in 2010, starring Emma Stone. Love Emma Stone. I'm surprised it's taken me this long to get to it, and I knew nothing about Easy A going into it, but I enjoyed the movie quite a bit. Everybody in this movie plays their role so damn well. Emma Stone, obviously, but Penn Badgley, Amanda Bynes, Thomas Hayden Church is in this thing. I really like him. Lisa Kudrow is in this thing. Really love her. There are so many fun characters in this movie, especially Olive's parents. The things that Olive goes through, man, there's so much drama in this movie. If you love drama and you love rumors, this is your kind of movie right here. It's very funny and it doesn't really slow down. It just like keeps ramping up and it keeps going. Besides Emma Stone, the biggest highlights of the movie are the soundtrack and just all the colorful characters. I could watch this thing over and over again. At number 8, Your Monster, a 2024 release that just dropped on Max not too long ago. I finally watched it, and we go from Emma Stone, one of my favorite actresses, to Melissa Barrera, one of my newer favorite actresses. Of course, she kills it in this. Tommy Dewey as well. He is so good as the monster. The relationship between Laura and the monster is so damn funny because at first he's like, hey, this is my house, get the hell out. But then he's like, I kind of like her. And of course he likes her. It's freaking Melissa Barrera. She absolutely kills it in Your Monster. I even nominated her for Best Actress at my awards show. Go check out that video. The last half of this movie where she's like letting all of her rage out because she got dumped by this dweeb guy and she goes off on him. It is so entertaining to watch. It's a nice little Beauty and the Beast horror rom-com, you know, and they succeed at what they try to do. I talked about the last half of the movie, but like the last 5 to 10 minutes where she's doing her big performance, oh my god, wonderful stuff all around. Your Monster, if you haven't seen it, it's on Max. It's streaming now. Not an ad, but you gotta go check this thing out. At number 7, Finch. I got Apple TV Plus for the first time, and Finch is a movie that came out in 2021. I believe it's like an Apple TV exclusive or whatever the hell. But the poster looked interesting, and it's Tom Hanks and a robot and a dog. So, I mean, like, you know, what could go wrong? And those elements that I just listed made this movie, you know? It's really all you need. Tom Hanks continues to be one of my favorite actors. He is just great in everything I've ever seen him in. He is the only, like, actual actor that you see. It's just him. Well, for the most part, there's, like, a couple other people sprinkled in there and, like, flashbacks and stuff. And then there's obviously the robot, Jeff. You can't help but love him. He's such a lovable piece of metal. I really enjoyed the story of Finch. It's very heartbreaking, but also a bit beautiful. Tom Hanks builds this robot because he is dying, and he needs someone to look after his dog, Goodyear. It's a very simple story, but oh, I just fell in love with this movie. As soon as it was over, I'm like, yeah, that was a banger. That was an absolute banger right there. Number 6, Dogman. I talked about Dogman in my DreamWorks animation tier list. Dogman 2025 release. It is currently my favorite movie of the year. I saw this in theaters. After seeing the trailers a bunch, I was like, this looks fun. I don't know anything about Dogman or the world he comes from, but this looks like it could be a really fun movie. And boy oh boy, let me tell you, I sat down in that theater, the first 20 minutes is just bit after bit, joke after joke thrown at you. Oh no, a box of bees, and then it's a box of like the letter B. The cast is absolutely great, and same can be said for the characters. There's Sarah Hadoff and the Chief. Pete Davidson voices Petey the cat, and then you can't forget about Little Petey. Oh my god, I love Little Petey so much. I will protect him with my life. Absolutely adorable. This is one of the sillier movies I've seen in recent years, but it's also so clever. Like, it is a kid's movie, but anybody can enjoy this, unless you hate fun. If you hate fun, don't watch Dogman, but if you like a little bit of fun, you gotta go see it. For more thoughts on Dogman, check out my tier list. But yeah, it is just such a fun movie. Oh, and another thing, something I didn't mention in the tier list, towards the end of the movie, we get a freaking Aliens reference where Petey the cat says, "Get away from him, you fish," or something like that. It caught me so off guard, but I absolutely loved it. I could have just stood up from my seat and just started clapping. Absolutely wonderful stuff. Number 5, Zoolander. We got a lot of fun movies on this list, and Zoolander, another movie I'm surprised it's taken me this long to see. I just watched this randomly one night, I put it on. This thing is so damn funny. Ben Stiller as Derek Zoolander. He should have won an Oscar for this role. I'll say it. I'm brave enough to say it. Owen Wilson's in this thing as well. You can't have a Ben Stiller movie without Owen Wilson popping up. Will Ferrell as Mugatu. He's a definite highlight of the movie. Also, Mila Jovovich is in this thing, and she is another one of my favorite actresses. Really good to see her. And also, speaking of highlights, Jerry Stiller, rest in peace, the GOAT. All of his bits and all of his jokes in this movie, they absolutely worked for me. And then there's the walk-off that Derek and Hansel have with David Bowie judging. I could sit here and just list off all the jokes or all the quotes or whatever, but it wouldn't do the movie justice. Another movie that if you somehow haven't seen it, you gotta go check it out. Obviously, there's some things in this that haven't aged all too well, but I'd say for the most part, it still holds up. This movie is so damn good. Now at number 4, A Different Man. Taking a bit of a shift here. Got a lot of fun comedies on here, but we got A Different Man, another 2024 release that I checked out last month. Another movie I nominated for my little award show. Sebastian Stan absolutely kills it in this thing. And obviously Adam Pearson as well, just a giant ball of charisma. Both of them, the way they bounce off of each other, the way their characters are like. Sebastian Stan is like, oh, I'm happy now because I got this surgery, and then he sees Adam Pearson walking in being like, hey, I'm still a big ball of energy, and he's like, what? No, stop that. I loved this movie so much. It starts off very like emotional, like following Sebastian Stan's character Edward. Then there's a shift in the movie, and then you notice the changes in Edward. I mentioned it in the award show video, just staring at Sebastian Stan's face and just seeing him like stone-faced, and then just so much anger towards the end of the movie. The more it goes on, the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes or so, he is going absolutely nuts. I love the way the movie escalates. And you know what? Usually this is the kind of movie that I would enjoy, but not absolutely love or anything like that. It really surprised me. Like, I could even put it in like my top 100 movies ever. That's how much I dig A Different Man. At number 3, Paddington 2. Now, I watched the Paddington movies out of order. I will come clean. I watched the first one, fell in love with it, 5 stars, and I couldn't wait to watch Paddington 2, but it would never come on a streaming service. And then Paddington 3 came to theaters, Paddington in Peru, and I'm like, you know, I haven't seen Paddington 2 yet, but I love that little bear so damn much. I gotta go to the theaters, and I gotta watch Paddington in Peru. It was a pretty decent movie, not nearly as good as Paddington 1, but still very, very good. But then Tubi, the GOAT, gave us Paddington 2 at the very last day of the month of February, and I watched Paddington 2. Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal, I get why they were crying during The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Paddington 2 is phenomenal. It's not number 2 or 1 on my top 10 list here, but it's still very good. It just didn't really bring as much emotion out of me as the first one did for some reason or another. But hey, that's just my opinion. I love the Brown family so much. They're always trying their best to keep the family together and rescue Paddington. I did not know that little Paddington goes to prison in this movie. I did not think this was going to lean more towards Shawshank Redemption. But I really did enjoy my time with this movie. Hugh Grant as our main villain. Oh my god, charismatic son of a gun. He is just dressing up as different costumes and playing several different characters. There's a bit towards the end of the movie where Hugh Grant is just like walking menacingly on top of a moving train, and it honestly gave me Terminator vibes. Hugh Grant, hey, keep on playing those villain roles and be as menacing as you can be because you are damn good at it. There aren't enough good things to say about Paddington 2. It's just a great movie. So many marmalade sandwiches. I love Knuckles, played by Brendan Gleeson. The only thing that keeps it from being like a perfect 5-star movie for me is just all the years of hearing all this hype, and then when I watched it, it didn't reach that level. You know, a 9 out of 10 is still very, very good. At number 2, Love and Monsters. I love me a good monster movie, and I love me a movie that has great main characters, and you know, if there's a little romance thrown in there, sure, why not? This movie officially made me a fan of Dylan O'Brien. He is fantastic in this. I'm pretty sure I've said this in other videos before, but one of my favorite types of movies is just like person in a strange environment or a team in a strange environment, and there's giant creatures running around, and they have a goal, or they have like a destination they're trying to get to. Love Kong Skull Island. I love anything with monsters roaming around and danger around every corner. Love and Monsters gives you that and an absolutely lovable group of characters. Like I was saying, Dylan O'Brien, he's our main character. We follow him and his dog Boy throughout the movie. Love them to death. The romance aspect of this movie is also intriguing. His whole journey through this dangerous land is to get to his girlfriend, and I'm invested. I'm like, please Joel, please make it, live happily ever after. Early on in Joel's adventure, we run into Clyde and Minnow, and they sort of teach him how to survive in this dangerous area because, you know, he's not the strongest guy, he's not the smartest guy, but I could watch Joel, Clyde, and Minnow interact all damn day. Spoiler, they kind of leave like halfway through the movie to let him go continue his journey. It keeps the story going, but I would have loved to have seen more of them. Also in this world, they have robots called Mavis or whatever, and there's a really beautiful scene where he runs into a robot and like they talk, and it kind of gave me Wild Robot vibes in sort of a way, the way like a robot was so connected with emotion. It was like kind of weird, but also beautiful. But Love and Monsters is another one of those movies where I'm just like, everybody needs to see this thing. It's funny. It has some pretty decent creatures in it, pretty decent action. The last little chunk of it where some bad guys show up, it's kind of like just thrown in there, but I still enjoyed it. So while I wouldn't say it's perfect, it's really, really close to being perfect. And finally at number 1, a movie I would say is perfect, The Wild Robot. This and Dogman inspired me to make my DreamWorks tier list. The Wild Robot is such a fantastic movie. The Oscars have come and gone, and Flo won Best Animated Feature, and I love Flo to death, so let's go Flo. And if it wasn't Flo, I was really hoping it was going to be The Wild Robot. One of the best animated movies within the last like 10 years, one of my personal favorite animated movies like of all time, in my top 100 I'd say. Lupita Nyong'o as Roz. I can't imagine anybody else as Roz. And then also you gotta shout out Pedro Pascal as Fink, him making his little fox noises. Again, I can't imagine anyone else being Fink the Fox. It's another movie that has a great cast. I love all the characters, all the animals in this forest, like on this island or whatever. It's such a beautiful movie, and the first time I watched it, I was like, this is really good. And then not even a week later, I went back and rewatched it, and I was nearly in tears because I just love this movie so much. And again, it was on my DreamWorks tier list, so if you want more thoughts about it, I don't know what else I really had to say, but go check out that video if you want more thoughts on The Wild Robot. But I'd say it was probably a top 5 movie of the year. I'm not entirely sure. Definitely top 10, 100%. Maybe top 5. But that is gonna do it. Some movies I had quite a bit to say, some movies I didn't, because I kind of talked about them somewhat recently. There's a few 2024 movies on here, so check out some other videos on my channel. I probably talk about them there more in detail. But thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. I don't know what it'll be. Probably a movie review, but who knows. Okay, goodbye.